Congressman Mo Brooks joins us now. Congressman, good to see you well. It's good to see you back on the show.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Allison.
Great to have you.
So what was it like to be back out on the field?
It was wet. If you play baseball, those aren't the ideal conditions. But on a more serious note, it was mixed emotions. On the one hand, it was good to be with our comrades as we try to put together a baseball team to compete, hopefully, with the Democrats. Democrats have a better team, but hopefully, underdogs sometimes do win, as we did 2 years ago. And we raised over $1 million for local charities. That's the positive side. The little adverse side was remembering that on this same field, last time we were there, 5 of our colleagues got shot, 1 congressman and 4 other individuals, including Capitol Police, and an assailant was dead behind home plate near the stand. So it's very mixed emotions. And
was it hard to go back to that field? I know there was a lot of security, as there probably will always be, forevermore. And so what was, and also Steve Scalise, not being able to be there. So what were your emotions?
Well, that's a part of it. I was practicing at second base, and the last time we had someone practicing at second base, he ended up getting shot. And that'll be a memory that is emblazoned in my brain. I'll never forget it. That made it a little bit more difficult. Zach Barth jumping in the first base dugout over myself, and Jeff Flake, a senator, with a hole in his leg. Of course, you'll never forget that. Capitol Police officers returning fire, both wounded. There are a lot of mixed emotions. There's no way to get around those mixed emotions, but it was good to be back on the ball field and overcoming those emotions to try to play baseball, which for a century now has been America's pastime. So that was a very enjoyable part.
So how are you doing with all this, Mo? We've been following you, obviously. Often we go at it about your positions and your arguments there as a congressman. You're obviously still a passionate fighter for your principles. But how has it been for you living through something like that? That wasn't another day of practice. That wasn't something bad you heard about. You lived it. And a lot of people, that lasts a lifetime.
Well, initially, you can't help but think about it almost constantly as you go over what happened, the things that were lucky, the good decisions you made, perhaps the decisions you could have made that were better. But with the passage of time, it's further and further behind us. And quite frankly, I don't think about it except when I'm at that ball field, on the one hand, or when someone asks me about it. Other than that, I'm looking forward, not back.
And Congressman, remember in the days afterwards, after such a harrowing experience, there was some hope that because everybody was praying for Steve Scalise and everyone who was wounded, that would be some sort of glue and some sort of permanent unifying bond, having lived through that trauma, that people would be bonded. And I'm just wondering how long that lasted, and if you think that there is still some, I don't know, silver lining that came out of that.
Well, if you're talking about from a partisan basis, the Democrats have their beliefs, the Republicans have their beliefs. And quite frankly, that bipartisanship ended the night of the game when the Democrats took us to the woodshed. We're competitors, and they're fighting for their belief systems. We're fighting for our belief systems. And when it came to that baseball game, obviously they were not going to give us any quarter. And like I said, they took us down pretty bad the day after the shooting occurred. But still, it was in sport. It was enjoyable. It was pleasant. Right. On the ball field before the game, we were very close to each other. There was bonding. And we raised over $1 million for charity. We had roughly 25,000 people in attendance at the Washington Nationals baseball stadium. So that's quite an experience that helped all of us recover from what transpired.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you guys are dealing with down there. You have a job that really you shouldn't have to have, which is going over the behavior of people who are either about to get into positions of power or while they're in positions of power. You have what's going on with Dr. Ronnie Jackson. That's going to be a Senate issue in terms of confirmation. You're in the House. You're going to be dealing with Scott Pruitt at the EPA. You got about 6 open investigations into him about what he's been doing and whether it's ethical and right as a cabinet secretary. What are your feelings about how much stink is too much?
Well, there are always investigations of conduct in the executive branch by the legislative branch of the United States Congress. So this is not abnormal. There are always people who will level accusations against people in power. Some of those accusations have merit, some do not. and hopefully we'll be able to work our way through these investigations with a minimal amount of partisanship, get to what truly transpired, and once we have gotten to the facts and the truth of the matter, then the executive branch can make whatever decision they need to make in order to repair whatever damage has been done to their reputation if, again, if those accusations and allegations are substantiated by evidence.
From what you've heard thus far, should Dr. Ronny Jackson withdraw his nomination?
No, I don't think so, but that's not my decision.
Right.
It's his decision. He knows whether the accusations are true or not true, okay? Again, there are always going to be allegations and accusations. The key is determining what the truth is in the face of conflicting evidence. I'm a commercial litigator. I've litigated in court. I've been a prosecutor. I've been a defense attorney. And when you see a complaint or you see an indictment, those are mere allegations. In a court of law, the evidence comes forward, and then a jury or a judge makes a decision as to what the truth is. And that's what we need to focus on, putting the allegations aside, looking at the actual evidence, and reaching a determination. I'm cautiously optimistic that these allegations are false with respect to Dr. Jackson, but who knows? I'm not in the United States Senate. I'm not on the front end of that investigation. I pray that the senators will put their partisanship aside and come to the evidence, examine the evidence with an open mind, and then make the proper decision.
Well, we'll see what the House does with Pruitt, because certainly you got plenty of facts to work off of there, and we'll follow those deliberations very closely. Mo Brooks, thank God you made it through that day. It's good to have you on this show making your case to the American people.
My pleasure, Chris. Allison, have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.